What are we making?
We are making a summer.
Or should I say, what are you making me?
So we're making a summertime live bait trace with fluorocarbon. It's not specifically to catch kuta or things with teeth, but it's Dorado, Sailfish,
Prodigal.
yeah, those kind of things. But mostly Dorado, Tuna,
Yeah.
And Sailfish. So this is my typical early summer, especially northern Zululand trace. I've got a mackerel here that doesn't necessarily, I'll talk about different baits and where I rig them, hence the cable tie. But let me make the trace first and then we'll talk about the rigging. So
Excellent.
we're going to start with this fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is quite expensive and quite pricey, so I don't make a lot of it.
What weight, eh?
So this is 44 pound.
44 pound, eh?
But I'm all go with the diameter. This is 0.6. So it's 0.6 of a mil. So anywhere from 0.6 to 0.70 is kind of what I would go for.
And the reason why I ask you say that, because when I did that trip to Florida and I fished in that sailfish comp, most of the guys there, they swore they wouldn't go heavier than 25 pound. They reckon that water gets so clean there that they prefer a thinner one. I was like 25 pound, but then again, their sailfish are a lot smaller than what we used to.
100%.
But yeah, so.
But that's the thing about using a circle hook in particular is there's very little chafe on your leader.
Yeah.
If you hook it correctly in the corner of the mouth. So you can scale down and go lighter. I can tell you for a fact that I've had no issues with this 44 pound.
44 is 44. I
44,
mean,
especially the Sunline, eh?
Okay.
The stuff's really, really good. It's like invisible in the water, but you don't necessarily have to use this brand.
Remembering this is good fluoro and there's like
Exactly. And
pretend fluoro.
you were asking about what pound it is, okay? I always look at the diameter. I don't necessarily look at the. So obviously the higher end stuff, it's going to be a higher pound or a higher kilo per diameter.
Yeah.
So that's how you can kind of tell the quality of and you pay for that. So if you get an 060 that's at 50 pound, it's going to be more expensive than an 060 at 44 pound. So that's how it kind of works.
Okay.
But yeah, then I basically go a meter, maybe just over a meter. The stuff's, as I said, it's quite pricey and quite expensive. And I mean, that's enough to, I mean, the fish are not going to see that in front of the bait.
Well, we hope not.
Yeah, well, we hope not. And then same thing, number 5 power swivel. This is what I use for everything. The swivel's just to...
Number what? Sorry?
Number 5 or number
Okay,
6.
5, okay.
Number 5 or number 6 power swivel. Again, this is just to, obviously stops the bait from twisting the line up to a degree. It's also an attachment point to your main line or your main leader. I tie figure of 8. I mean, if you can tie figure of 8, this knot just doesn't slip. And with fluoro, I do 3 turns. So there's 1, 2 loops. I just do a 3rd loop because it's fluoro. Come in from the back. I open it up. And it's a figure of 8, but there's just 1 extra twist in there. I only do that on fluoro. And on normal leader line, normal mono, I just do a 2-turn figure of 8. So where I tie to my leader, I'll just do a 2-turn figure of 8. Wet that, pull it down.
Bob's your uncle.
And honestly, that knot is small. Once you know how to tie it,
Pigtail free?
no, you can cut the pigtail right down.
I'm not saying pigtail free, you know when you...
Yeah. I mean, look how neat that is.
When you caught a pigtail fish, it comes back twisted.
Like, this knot, I must say, never failed me.
Okay.
You can tie it incorrectly, and then it can fail.
Of course, yeah.
But if
like
it's tied correctly,
yeah. And
then on the other end, we're going to just circle hooks. Okay, so depending on the size of the bait, you can go anywhere from a 4-0 right up to a 10-0. But for the smaller baits like little cigar scads, red eyes, smaller moss bunker, 4-0 is good. But I think the stock standard size is probably about a 6-0.
You laugh a bit of 4-0. So I had 4-0s and I was fishing on the south coast, and I rigged a mozzie, a small mozzie with a 4-0, and then I went and hooked a tuna of about 20 kilos. And I was like, not thinking about the hook too much, pulled him a little bit hard there, and I got him in the end.
Yeah.
The hook had a little bit of a tendency to be almost straight. I was lucky.
Yeah, I haven't. Circle hook, I must say, I've never
that's the first time I've ever done it. I don't know if
okay.
it was maybe the way it was hooked or something, but yeah. After that day, I was like, okay, let me just try a little bit thicker circle.
So I'm gonna go with this is a 7 though, just for this demonstration.
Yeah, okay.
You know, the guys talk about black nickel, silver nickel. Honestly, it doesn't worry me too much. I guess the black looks a little bit better than the silver, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two ways, two common
So you're not
ways.
concerned about the thickness of the hook? Because some of the circles
I
you
am.
get are freaking proper thick.
Yes, I am. You get the demon circle, which is the extra heavy.
Yeah.
And then you get the fine, which is like the freshwater version.
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
get the tuna, which is kind of in between,
Okay.
or the standard.
Yeah.
So I go for the tuna or the
circle.
standard.
Okay.
I would stay away from the fine. The demon is also fine, the extra heavy. But just the standard circle hook is all good, gauge hook.
Okay.
So yeah, how I do it is I stiff rig it. So I come in from, this is very important. So you come in from the top.
Okay.
Okay, so when you put pressure, it makes the circle do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
It
So
turns
always
in.
You come in from,
If you come in from the bottom,
you're coming from the
see-
same side as
you see
as the pointed sharp of the hook.
correct,
basically,
yeah. So it turns the hook in.
Yeah.
When you
Okay.
strike. So I go through the bottom through the top to the bottom.
Go through the front hole, not the back hole.
That's correct. And then you tie. I tie a figure of 8 around the. You guys can do snells, they can do nail nuts. I just find the figure of 8 stiff rig is just fastest. Exactly what I did. Round my finger 1, 2, 3 times,
Yeah.
and then in through the back. I open that 8 up. You see there's the extra twist in there again.
Yeah, yeah.
Wet it, it's always important. You pull that tight. And that's it. And
That's
you
it,
can see the hook wants to turn in now, and then I cut this little tag end off. Not too close.
No, not too close.
And that's my trace, literally. Some guys tie
You can obviously, like you said, you can tie that with a snell.
you can tie that with a snell, nail knot.
But not like a good old fashioned, you know, where you loop it back and tie it up there and pull it down.
you can, but then the eye hook can pivot.
You don't hook as much as many.
Well, there's that train of thought, but then like guys like Mark Taylor, hey, they tie a loop over there, which makes the circle completely free.
Okay.
And that comes from the long line tuna fishermen. You know, they crimp it and they have
So the hook, I mean, the knot there is preference in the end. And
it's preference. I mean, this is what I do.
yeah.
I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong.
No.
It works, I promise you that. So yeah, that's basically my trace. And I mean, why I would use a circle hook, first of all. If this thing's attached and you hook the fish,
Yeah.
it's really difficult for that fish to come off. You know, there's no chafe on your leader.
I think we've always said that, like with tuna, when the tuna were around, when you used to hook a tuna, if it
Yeah, with a
didn't
treble.
come off in the first 2 minutes,
Yeah.
like, and very seldom did it just come off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, guys don't like circle hooks because they say it's difficult to hook the fish. But there's a couple little tricks which I'll show you now. And if you're not lazy and you do it,
Yeah.
and you do it properly, you're gonna have pretty good hookup rate with a circle hook. The first thing is a circle hook. You can't strike a fish; it needs to hook itself.
Yeah, you just-
so the fish has got to take away, and you just apply even pressure, and you let the hook slide and hook the fish on the corner of the mouth.
Okay.
If you strike, you can whip the bait completely out of his mouth.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing: is don't strike with a circle hook. Let the fish hook itself. You know, that's quite difficult for novices that get all excited
I gotta bite.
you know, you got to let
And
the
your
fish hook
drag?
itself. Loose, as I say, I just apply even pressure. So when the fish picks up, the drag's pretty loose,
Yeah.
and I just start tightening up. I hold the rod up, and
So
I just
it's
wind into the
similar
fish.
to what I do. Like I almost feel like I can just gently.
Yeah, you don't want the fish.
In fact, if the bait gets super excited, sometimes it can go like.
If a fish hits it fast and hard, you don't want your reel to overwind.
No.
So you have your drag set so that it's not going to overwind. If
enough
the fish takes
pressure,
it.
but not too much.
Yeah, and that's kind of where your drag
So
set is.
and once you've hooked it, you won't just like do quick 3 turns. You just slowly tighten.
Yeah, I hold the rod up
Okay.
and I tighten and I let the
So
rod
you're keeping the
bend.
pressure on the rod.
Yeah.
And then you're tightening it
And you
up.
tighten up to my fighting pressure.
Okay.
And I let the rod bend that pulls the hook and slides and hooks the
Okay.
fish. Okay. The next thing is each bait is different. Okay. I'm going to go through where and how I rig each bait. Okay. This is a mackerel. So a mackerel's got a little, if we have a look here on the top here, he's got like a little moustache here, like a little, whereas Hitler would be.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
that's a brilliant spot to put the circle hook. So I don't even use a cable tie.
Okay.
With a mackerel, I go through here. I go around the bone and right out the center. That's
Done.
it. On a mackerel only.
Mackerel only.
Because you see now, what happens also with the circles when the fish, it turns back in on the bait.
Yes.
If you hook it right in the front on a mackerel, it normally can't reach the eye, and it can't turn back into the bait.
Yeah.
So that's how I fish a mackerel.
Okay.
It's just through the front like that. The only problem is when you pull him like this and he's swimming, he swims on his side because he's fighting
the pressure.
which is not keeled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A cigar scad, which is something smaller, or a scad mackerel. I go sideways through the nostril. So if this is a cigar scad, or a red eye, also, I go quickly because a red eye dies. You can't fiddle with him. I go sideways through the nostril like that, and I pull him like that.
Okay.
And then I find he swims really, really well that way. And also, it's a very delicate bait, so you haven't got time to sit
red
in.
eye you can't play
You
games
just
with.
put him through there quickly, let him out.
And a cigar scad and a sand mackerel. Sorry, cigar scad, that thing
Cigar scad and a red eye, I rig it this way,
the same way.
like this, yeah.
Okay. And a cigar scad won't necessarily die as fast as a red.
No, a cigar scad's pretty solid. You can rig a cigar scad like I rig a moss bunker. Now, the next way, which is the only way to rig a moss bunker. I promise you, if you rig it like that or you rig it like that on a moss bunker, he's going to swim. The circle's going to turn back in through the eye socket and kill itself.
I've seen that before.
And he'll swim fine. You'll get the bite and you'll get it back, and the circle could be turned back into the eye socket, and you'll miss the fish.
Okay.
So small cable tie. I normally cut them at a 45 degree just so it's sharper. So you're dealing with the bait.
It's a little bit stiffer
A
halfway
little bit
down.
stiffer and it's sharper. I push it through the bridge of the eye. Like that. Okay, not through the middle of his eye. So you can't see it.
above the eye.
Just the bridge of his eye.
Yeah.
And then you pull the cable tie tight. Not too tight. Not so he's looks like one of those goldfish, with the googly eye.
Bulging eyes.
So just pull it so it's reasonably tight, but you still got about a mil of play underneath there, and then I cut it. You can do this with a cigar scad too, but with a moss bunker, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And then I just take the circle hook and I go behind the cable tie, facing up.
So loose like that on that.
No, it's not super loose. This might be a little bit loose.
You don't put it. You don't put it tight onto the hook.
No, don't pull it tight. Not super tight, because I find it does hurt the fish to a degree.
Okay.
And I promise you now that,
And people, and sometimes with
when
guys,
you your hook the fish, the cable tie just slides up
and
your line.
sometimes guys will bridle there, like where you had a little.
I
piece
used to.
You used to have a little piece of.
I don't believe it's necessary.
Okay.
I've experimented it. Also, you're messing with the bait longer, trying to get the bridle and everything.
And you got to get it through, and then
I find that just a cable tie is good enough. So we'll just recap there. Mackerel through the front of the lip, through like kind of where his Hitler moustache would be.
Yeah.
A red eye sideways through the nostrils. A moss bunker or cigar scad
with a cable tie.
A smallest cable tie. Even you can get, these are a bit thick and a bit heavy quality, but you can really buy like the cheap nasty ones, like
very small nasty ones.
that's better. And that's how you rig it. And then this is your stock standard trace. And
like you said,
yes,
Tuna, Dorado.
You will get bitten off. And I have been bitten off many times by some big fish.
Yeah.
But you've also got more of a chance of catching and landing a fish with teeth with a circle hook than you do with a back-to-back, or say a single treble in the nose, because they hook wherever the fish bites. The first place it feels pressure in the mouth it hooks.
Yeah.
Whereas a circle hook, 90% of the time, you get them in the corner.
And then the line doesn't. Hopefully the line doesn't go.
Yeah. What I've found is if you do get a cuda on a circle hook, don't change sides of your kayak. Yeah. So don't start fighting it and then fight it, because then the line's going to cross.
Yes. Yeah.
And I normally put a lot of pressure, and the first time that fish comes past, I put gaff and hold.
Yeah.
I don't let them run.
You don't let them do 14 circles.
Yeah. So that's the trick with
I
the
think
circle.
that one that I hooked in the UKFC comp was when I was fishing for tuna, and it was 40 meters of water, and it ate it when I down rigged. I don't know, it was a cuda.
You down-rigged the circle hook.
Yeah, because of the tuna there. They were tuna, the tuna were there, but they
Fair
were
enough,
down. They were
okay.
on the finder. It was like they're there.
100%.
And as it went, and as it literally clicked over and did one paddle stroke, it went on, and I was like, okay, I thought it was a tuna. And then when it eventually came up to the top, was that fish? I think it was just over. I think it was 20 or 21 or something around about there.
And how close was that to biting you off, if at all?
Not a chance.
Exactly. It was
That
hooked
thing
in the
was in
corner.
its mouth. The line was running at an angle like, away from its mouth. And as soon as I saw it, I knew just keep
Tension, don't
keep
change
the,
sides.
keep the tension and make sure that he's there, because if I let him come past me, then
or
he's
he
gonna,
turns and doubles
Yeah.
back, then the line can cross.
Yeah. So and when you're in a comp as well, you're like a little bit more like
And
Yeah.
as I said, you'd be surprised after the fact. You actually check, that fish was not even close to
Yeah.
biting you off.
Yeah.
When you do get bitten off on a
In
circle, it's like almost instantly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not when the fish is on, then you got to, I'd say, geez, your odds are really good of landing the fish.
Yeah. So
Even with a
the
circle
one
hook,
year I was actually the following year in the same comp, fishing in the same area, like obviously hoping. I got bitten off like 2 in a row and then went to steal and then
And then you go away.
Yeah, but I mean it was quick. It was like zoop, zoop. You're like, yeah, we need to be careful. So yeah.
So,
Same
yeah.
at Vidal, I suppose. If you're fishing with that and you get bitten off 2 in a row, you're like, okay, the Dorado and Tuna are around, but Mr. Kuda's visiting me more often than he needs to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's when, we chatted a little bit about this in the Legends of the Yak. It's, that knowledge of knowing when to fish, what traces.
Yeah.
It's, that just comes with experience.
Yeah.
But this in particular is a northern
So
Zululand.
let's say you're fishing Vidal, right? Okay. This is a valid question, I believe. You're
Yeah.
fishing Vidal and the water is like so clean. Are you going to fish a scallum wire trace or fluoro?
The first thing I do when I get to Vitals, I go and look at the launch register and I go and see what's been coming out. And if there's lots of kudas coming out,
Then I will
then
go
I go full metal jacket. If there's Dorados and stuff coming out, and then it's
that's the
just,
ski boat. Well, obviously, the ski boat is obviously filling.
yeah, and then the kayakers too.
Yeah, but I'm
kayakers
saying.
are meant to as
so
well.
you've arrived there on a Friday, and the ski boaters have been fishing during the week. Because let's be honest, not many kayak fishermen sleep there for the day. And then you're going to check and then you can make a call from there.
Well, I normally start fluoro on top, wire down. That's my standard.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. I get to the back line, and I'll often change my traces before I even start catching bait because all of a sudden the water's purple.
Yeah.
Then I'll put and the current's screaming.
Yeah. I mean, you can get that.
And the wind's blowing from the
you get-
southwest.
You get that like.
and you know the Dorado are going to be there.
Exactly. You get that current line where it goes like super clean and it's like a little bit dirty on the inside, and it's like you almost sort of know.
And you get there and the water's green and the east has been blowing for 2 days. And sure, the west is blowing, but the water's still green. Full metal jacket,
Okay.
top and bottom. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But again, that comes down to experience, you know,
Yeah.
and understanding a spot and the species that you're trying to target. Yeah,
Cool. There we go.
that's it.
Those are nice and easy to make. Making sure, obviously, like you said, good fluoro, swivels are swivel, and the hooks, I'm glad we touched on, like people say, just get a circle hook. Okay, well, yeah, okay, lovely. Go into a fishing tackle shop and just buy a circle hook.
There's a lot of circle hooks, and
Yeah.
Circle hooks also are a bit of a personal preference. Eh?
Yeah.
For me, my favorite shape is a tuna circle hook.
Okay.
I don't like the super round ones. I don't
And then
like
you
the
get, what's
offset
that?
ones.
I was going to say, you get an offset circle.
No, well, the tuna circle is slightly offset.
Okay, but
So
you
if-
get it on a packet, so you'll get a circle that'll say offset circle, so you won't necessarily go towards
So
it.
IGFA rules, you're not allowed to use an offset circle.
Really? Okay.
Because the potential of not possibly hooking it in, it defeats the purpose.
The purpose of a circle.
But I find not a major offset, just a slight
Yeah, okay.
offset. I mean, this eagle claw is not offset. The tuna circle, if you look at it, is
Yeah,
slightly,
it looks like you look at it, almost looks slightly bent.
slightly offset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas the demon is square, is like is straight. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So I suppose the next thing would be steel trays for the.
Yeah.